Welcome to another week of On the Couch with Dan and Dane. And today we're actually going to talk about a bit of ownership structuring, right?
Ooh.
So the biggest one we get is obviously people coming going like, I want to put it in a trust. As if once you put something in a trust, then the ATO doesn't know what the fuck's going on anymore, and you've got this big cloak of dagger over the top of it.
You're in the Cayman Islands.
Yeah.
No one knows that there's
A
money
Swiss
going
bank
on.
account. And,
They automatically get issued. Didn't you know that? Trust, you get a Swiss bank account,
Yeah.
you move to the Cayman Islands, and you're tax-free all of a sudden.
Absolutely.
Absolutely not.
So
That
we want
does
to get
not
some
happen
sort of
at all.
surface, I guess, our opinions, right? This isn't financial advice, but first up, if you are purchasing in a trust versus buying in your own name, if you run your property at a loss, so negative gear, you actually can't pass over any of those tax credits or deductions onto your own income tax. So you can only carry it forward because a trust is its own structure.
Yep.
Does its own tax return, fucking everything, right?
Yeah.
What about yourself, man?
Yeah, absolutely. And as you highlight there, it is its own separate entity. Lots of people go, oh, you know what? Now I've got my properties. I'm just going to shove them across in my trust. And I'm like, that is not you. You as an individual are not your trust. You're a completely different entity. And as such, when the government sees it, they're like, that is a transfer of title, transfer of ownership, interactions. They get a stamp duty association with them. Yep. So if you've got $1 million house, you better be ready to get on the hook for $70,000 of exchange fees, for example. Yep. It can be quite expensive depending on what you're doing. No, it's probably a little bit over the top, 70 grand, but we might be just about close to that these days.
Who would know?
Yeah.
The other one, realistically, is what is my end game, right? You might say, well, I want to have a trust because later on I want to be able to distribute the income out, right? Yep. That's the only really, I would see the benefit of actually having one there is you want to get yourself into a position where you can move stuff around from an income perspective out of it. So make sure that you kind of get the A, B, C, D, E, F, fucking G of all of it before you go and make that decision. Because you never know if it's going to come back and bite you in the ass later on. Yeah.
And that's certainly one of those decisions that you probably shouldn't make by yourself necessarily. Yeah. If you're questioning whether the right structure is a trust or a personal circumstance for you, like your accountant becomes your best friend and having that conversation as well.
Absolutely. All right. See you next week for another episode of On the Couch.